Last of the Dragonlords by Fluttershy 20, Chapter 13. About 20 years ago, Fluttershy, I lived with my battle brothers and sisters in a lost mountain fortress miles away from Equestria, or any nation for that matter. Most of the veteran Dragonlords at the time were figuring out mercenaries, or exploring the unknown corners of our planet, leaving me with a few younglings and new recruits, and of course, the Primarch of the Order. I remember one day, standing at the edge of the cliff face, gazing out into the wide expanse of the mountains that was now my home, last of the dying order. Then I realized at that moment I had enough. I was 96 years old, and most of my life had involved killing for causes that were not my own. As I gazed out into the vast mountains and watched the sunset, I decided that enough was enough and began planning from that moment my retirement. Captain Firewing! A voice called from behind me. I turned my head to see one of the young recruits. Dagger, I believe his name was. Yes, Dagger. Okay, I'm going to switch to my normal voice because it's hard to keep up my Liam Neeson impersonation throughout the entire story. I asked. I noticed the young colt was timbering slightly. First I thought it was the cold, for the air around was quite chill in the late afternoons. The Primarch sent me. She says he wants to speak with you. My heart skipped a beat. Normally, no party sees the Primarch unless it's urgent. The Primarch wants to see me. I repeated. Dagger nodded. Did she say why? No, Captain, she did not, he answered. You're not in trouble, are you, sir? I smiled. Young recruits have taken quite a shine to me in their time here, and all of them had to comfort when I told them they were going to outlive their friends. I got up and put a comforting hand on his shoulder. I don't think so, son. Go and rest with the others back in the barracks. You trained hard today. Dagger smiled and bowed his head. Thank you, Captain. With that, he galloped out towards the barracks, while I headed towards the room of Vidar, as it was called, which was quartered at the Primarch of the Dragonlords. The fortress, from the air, was square shaped. Thick, dark gray walls outlined it, while everything was squeezed inside. It was nearly impossible for Earthpunks to access, quite difficult for unicorns to teleport in, but a dream for Pegasi like myself. The fortress was originally built for Pegasus Dragonlords. Since the area was high up and mostly impassable, it was made a perfect training area for Pegasi to fly above the clouds and endure the high altitudes of thin air. Anyway, made my room over to the room of Vidar, which was at the furthest place from the main gate and landing area. In front of it stood two guards, both armed with spears and sword bracelets, armored in bright gold armor, which was worthy of their rank as honor guard, whereas I was wearing a light brown hooded robe, was draped around my body and covered my hose and tail. The Primarch had wished to speak to me. I addressed the two guards. They nodded and bowed their heads, allowing me to enter the stone building. I made my way through the door into a large chamber that was cold and damp and had no lighting whatsoever. Its only feature I could make out was the fountain that stood at its center, was sprinkled high into the air and came down like a waterfall. I walked up to it and noticed two golden goblets by the side of it, filled with red wine. I looked around, came to my senses as a play as I surveyed my room, my heart pounding against my chest. Hello, I called out. My Primarch, are you there? She emerged from the darkness in the furthest corner of me. My ears had heard her approach. I spun around the spot to face her. The Primarch was a dark pink unicorn with a long yellow mane and tail. She was old, very old. 500, like I think she was. She walked slowly. Eyes were mere slits as she looked at me. Come closer, my child, so I can see you properly, she ordered. Despite her age, her voice still had great authority, which we needed in those dark times. I walked up slowly to the Primarch. My eyes focused on the ground as my head lay low. It was rude to look at the face of our leader, unless told otherwise. Look at me, Captain Firewing, she said. I looked up at her and noticed a kind's face. My Primarch, I said. I was told you was to see me. The Primarch nodded. Yes, I did. She walked over to the fountain and picked up one of the goblets with her magic, which gave a bright blue aura. I hear you wish to seek retirement. My heart stopped beating for a few seconds. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How did you know? I Spirit shook my head. Forgive my bluntness, my lady. It's fine, Captain, she said with a raise of her hoof. As for me knowing, well, just because I'm old doesn't mean my powers have lost any of their potential. A unicorn, you see, is probably the most powerful magic casters in the world. Using ancient and nearly forgotten spells, they were able to cast spells that were so powerful and deadly, no pony could remember them. As about your retirement, she went on, it would be going against the Codex to deny your request. I want to know, how long? I shrugged. I don't know, my lady. To be honest, I've only started planning it out today. But I think the best answer would be until I'm ready to return. Yeah, good enough, I suppose, she said. She took a sip of her goblet, then backed down again. So, have you any ideas where you're going to go? I gave it some thought there and then. I realized that there's been a long time since I've been to Equestria. Too long. I think I might go to Equestria, I replied after a while. Probably Central Equestria. See Clondalk and Cosdale. Any reason? She said with a small smile. I shook my head. No reason, really. Just a place I've never seen before. And I might as well. Primark gave me a nod that gave away a hint of sadness. By the time you'd probably be back, I may have passed on from this world and headed to the next. I've already left instructions, though, as to who will be my successor. And who is that, if I may ask, my lady? You. You I have chosen to replace me, she replied. My eyes widened, my heart stopped beating altogether. Me? Primarch? I would have believed it if it came from any other pony's mouth. It came straight from the leader, the Dragonlords herself. I don't think I'm worthy enough to accept this, I stammered. Surely there are others, like Damos, who are better suited than this to me. Barbara shook her head. My child, I have lost you with pride as you grew to become one of the greatest Dragonlords who have existed. Young ones look up to you in reverence. The honor guard bow their heads to you. The other captains hold you with more respect than any other. She lifted my head up, making me look into her kind old eyes. There is no other pony in this order that is worthy of this honor. I was speechless. I now tried to make words, but all I did was make myself look like a goldfish. My heart pounded against my chest even harder than it did when I was in there. My head was a buzz of activity. Eventually, I regained my composure and bowed my head. It would be an honor to replace you, my Primarch. I said, but what will happen if you passed on and I haven't returned? Primarch smiled. I'm sure it will be. And don't worry about coming back so soon, Firewing. Captain Medius, the honor god, will come regent until you return. But first, you must have a retirement. He gestured for me to pick up the other goblet, which I did, rubbing in my hose with a firm grip. A toast, she said, raising her glass, to the bright future of the Dragonlords under their new ruler. But first, peaceful retirement. We banged our cups together and drank our goblets down. I hadn't had red wine in ages, and yet it was just as tantalizing as the first time I had it. But I refused to ask for more. Put my goblet down and bowed my head. It has been an honor, my Primal. She smiled and bowed her head in return. The honor was all mine, Captain. With that, I turned and made my way to the door, out to chamber, and now the only life I had ever known. May Fidar's wings shield you from the evils of this world, she said in prayer. Turned my head around to look for her and nodded, then left the chamber. An honor guard bowed their heads when I came out. I realized they must have known I was to become the new Primarch beforehand. But it didn't matter to me now. I felt a huge burden lift from my shoulders as I walked out there towards the barracks of the far right fortress. I was finally free. I could go out of this life for a while and enjoy a normal life, while the artist's hard labor, plus find another job, build a family, start again, until I felt I was ready to return. As I walked towards the door, I noticed Dagger waiting outside with a concerned expression on his face. Is everything all right, Captain? He asked. Bless him, I had thought. He was always the one that worried about everything. and cared deeply about everyone he knew in the order. Everything's better than all right, I said cheerfully, placing a hoof across his shoulders. Is every pony inside, Dagger? Dagger relaxed a little and let out a breath of relief. He nodded. Yes, they are, Captain. May I ask why? I want to have a chat with them all, I replied. Dagger nodded and led the way in, through a thin wooden door. The barracks was not a five-star hotel. It was Spartan in its furnishings, with a single wardrobe and a bed table next to every bed in the room. We had around 70 beds in all, and only a coat of white adorned the walls. But having a lot of possessions didn't matter to us all. We had a gift greater than any on this earth: life. We all lived when we should have died, and yet here we all were. The last of an order that would soon be a memory. The room was, before I came in, a buzz of activity, of ponies talking about the day's training and what they had hoped to achieve in their longer lives. And all went dead silent as I entered. They all gave me looks of concern and fear, either for them or me I didn't know, as I made myself comfortable in the middle of the barracks. I gave them all a warming smile, was put them at ease for a moment. Then I started speaking. Told them I'd become the new party mark once she had gone. This was met by a chorus of cheers and applause. Those cheers died down when I told them I was going into retirement. Some of them begged me to stay and help them through their training, but I told them my decision had been made. No matter persuasion was going to change my mind. When will you be leaving then, Captain? Pegasus Mare, Sylvia I believe your name was, asked. I haven't really given much thought. After all, this was something I only thought up about an hour or so ago. So at that point it seemed a bit rushed about. But nevertheless my mind was going far too fast for the rest of my body, so I blurted out. Tonight, maybe tomorrow at dawn. This was met with a few disappointing moans, groans, and sighs. Before they could sink any lower, I told them by the time I returned, they'd all be Dragonlords. I was proud of every single one of them, and would be honored to lead them into battles in the future. Maybe, I said, maybe some of you would be captains. I passed a look at an Earth Pony stallion, whose name has escaped my mind. While he was exemplary in everything he did, despite the disadvantage of having no wings or horn on his head. After many goodbyes and thank yous, I made sure all of them went asleep, as by that time the sun had long set. Clear night sky loomed overhead. I put out the lights in the barracks and took off my robe, exposing my coat to the natural cold air of the mountains. I placed it in a wardrobe next to my battle armor. I didn't have any possessions, only a large quantity of bits left behind by my mother after she died, for occasions such as this one. I placed the sack of bits in a small saddlebag, placed the bag on my back, without looking back, and left the barracks, whispering a final goodbye as I left. The air was definitely cold, and a long shiver crawled through me as I walked slowly from the barracks into the main gate. There were no guards or other ponies about, so it made it for a quiet getaway, which I was glad for. I'm not one for pompous send-offs or that sort of thing. I made it out of the gates into the wide cliff face, which went into a sheer drop into the sharp edges of the rocks below. I looked back one more time with sad eyes at my home, one of many that I led in my lifetime. This one, however, was special to me, and when I was there I felt at peace. Great memories of it, with some great laughs to all of us, as well as tears. I shook my hand and looked forwards again, directed to my country of my birth, Equestria, and spread my wings and dived off the edge, dropping a good 500 meters before fearing up again and soaring in towards around the fortress. I gave one final wave goodbye before changing direction and headed towards Equestria. First I put on a polite smile, and tilting her hub said, It's nice so far, but what does it have to do with my mother? The two sat opposite sides of each other around a large campfire somewhere in the Horskin Highlands. Around them, sounds of birds echoed as they sang their evening songs. The stars above them were bright, and Flourish could easily make out one or two constellations that weren't as scared from the canopies. I was going to get to that, sweetheart, Firewing said, but before I continue, I would like to know what you thought your mother was like. Well, Flourish answered with a small smile, I always thought my mother would have been kind, caring, beautiful, a bit shy, and had a sweet voice. Firewing nodded, faint smile forming. Ah, yes, she was kind and caring, and extremely beautiful. But, sir, I've yet to move me a pony who could talk faster or move quicker than Rosemary did. It took me at least 6 days of non-stop flying to reach Equestria, passing uncharted areas of land that stretched for miles. I passed gigantic forests, rivers as wide as the largest woodlands, mountains that soared up higher than the ones surrounded by. I saw so many things that no pony would ever believe. First, I enjoyed the silence in my own company, but by the fourth day, solitude became unbearable. So I began to wish for somebody to talk to, a friendly face to keep me company on my journey to the greatest kingdom in the world. My solitude came to abrupt and a joyful end, as after flying so many miles, my wings needed a rest. I found myself in a small village surrounded by trees, inhabited by ponies, a few griffins, and a couple of zebras. Sat down on an empty bench and looked through my belongings. On nosing, I ran out of food. I looked around for a market stall or somewhere where they could sell food and drink. Eventually found food in the shape of a general goods store. It was a small shack with a large sign posted on it. Wares were sold. I walked in, being greeted by a little bell above me that rang, attached to the the return attached to the door. Well, good afternoon to you, mister. The storekeeper greeted me with a smile. It was an earthbind with a tan-colored coat and a short brown mane and tail. He was wearing, if I recall, a large trench coat that covered his cutie mark. He cocked his head to one side when he didn't recognize who I was. Don't think I've ever seen you before. You haven't, I replied. Just passing through. I looked around, looking for some good food to keep me covered for the rest of the walk. Could I have 4 cans of that festival stew, please? The storekeeper nodded, disappeared on a table, only to reappear seconds later with 4 cans of the stew I asked for. So, where you headed, son? He asked. Such a question, I replied. I always wanted to see Catalan and Clydesdale. The storekeeper nodded with a sigh. Ah, so you love them both. You've been to them, I queried. Storekeeper laughed. Well, it'll be a miracle for me to get to Clydesdale. Big off, though. Memories I got from there will keep me smiling for a long time. Can I give you a tip? I nodded. Stay longer than a day. There's so much to see, it's unbelievable. I smiled. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. I turned around, was about to walk out of the store when I stopped. Turned around and asked, by the way, this may seem like a silly question, but I'm not in question yet. The storekeeper looked at me and laughed. Ha! Well, I sure hope so, lad, or I'll be wondering where the heck am I? I smiled and said, thank you, sir. I left the store. As I walked out, I heard the storekeeper calling me back. Turned around and walked back to him. What is it, sir? I asked, hoping he didn't sound too irritated. 2 things, young stallion, he said, making me groan inside. If only you knew how really old I was, he thought. Firstly, you're going to go through here, you'll need this. He took what looked like an old piece of brown paper and placed it in my hoof. I opened it up and saw it was a map of Equestria. I berated myself for forgetting the one thing I needed, and left behind in my haste to get out. Secondly, you didn't pay the bits for the slaves, he continued. Oh, sorry, I said. Using wing, I opened up my saddlebag, picked out the right amount of bits for the stews. After that, we parted company, with him wishing me good luck on my journey. I went back to the empty beds in the middle of the small village and looked at the map in detail. I was at the very edge of Equestria, somewhere in the northeast, where nothing but large trees dominated the landscape for miles. I noticed if I kept going southwest from this town, the name of which I've forgotten, I should arrive in central Equestria in a couple of days. Once I checked through the route I needed to take, I put the map away and galloped into the woods, passing through the tall trees and dark canopies. A day or so later, I arrived in front of the mountain pass that split central Equestria from the rest of the kingdom. It took a few hours to make my way through the small winding paths, but eventually I took my first view of the center of the kingdom. From my point, I could make out the capital city of Equestria, Canterlot, standing gleaming white off the cliff face, with majestic waterfalls running below it into the ground below. I looked up and saw Clydesdale, gray sitting in the skies, floating above the ground like a ship on a calm sea. When my wings recovered from their long flight, I spun out and took to the air, hoping to get to Clydesdale by the evening. It took me a couple hours at most, passing about the unfree forests. The town of Pineville, most of the time, was smaller than it was today. Eventually I arrived at Clydesdale, instantly taken aback by its beauty. I remembered that as I walked through its streets. My mouth was open wide enough to catch clouds, my eyes wide as I couldn't believe what they were seeing. Its majestic architecture, to me, told a story that goes back hundreds of thousands of years. It's one that keeps making stories. I walked through the streets, not really caring where I was going, too captivated by the city around me. When I caught a glance of a poster advertising the Wonderbolts, I quickly shot over and read it. I admired the Wonderbolts greatly, as does every Pegasi, as no Pegasus could go at their speeds and still do what they do. I also remembered there was a Dragonlord who was a Wonderbolt. I had to put that life behind him after an incident with a house fire. Anyway, I read the poster and saw it was on today at the Coliseum at 1 o'clock. I looked around for directions, as I had no idea where the stadium was. At this point, I felt the air in my lungs leave me. My sight came to myself as I fell on the ground. It was something rather heavy on me. It was then when I felt the thing move off me. I knew it was a pony. But I didn't know yet it was a pony that would change my life forever. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. I wasn't looking where I was going. And you were like, and I was like, and then we were like, she said loudly, in one breath, and dramatically reenacted the whole thing. Fluttershy! Check your family tree! Think there might be a pie there! As I groaned, I got up. My sight killed, and my legs felt wobbly. I turned around and looked at the pony angrily. But my anger disappeared when I looked into her eyes. Your mother's eyes, my child. So, let's see it. Get this straight. He was strolling through the park one day in the very merry month of May when he was taken by surprise by a pair of bluish eyes while strolling in the park one day. She walked up closer to me, eyes full of concern. Are you okay? She said softly. A delicate voice like yours, but a bit higher and faster. I seen the sparkle of a love I had never seen at that point. I'm fine, I responded, trying not to hide my hesitation. She cut her head aside at such an angle I thought was impossible. I don't think I've seen you before. You knew? I nodded. Yes. Well, just a tourist, really. Just passing through. She grinned. Woo! She squealed. Tourists! I love tourists. They are amazingly fun to be around. They tell so many stories of the world outside, and I love stories. They're always fun, and I love to have fun, and not to be a big bore. She kept talking, but I trailed off at that moment. I was looking into her eyes and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Something I didn't know at first, but would very soon. I'm sorry that's nice and all, but I've got to get going, I said politely. Woo! Got tearing things to do? She inquired. Yeah, something like that. Look, I better go before I miss the Wonderbolts before. I said. As I turned to leave, I heard a huge gasp behind me. A silent noise as I realized what was about to happen. Woo! You guys see the Wonderbolts before? Like, Alexis was about to see them myself. We should go together as Wonderbolt buddies! She took her husband hands and dragged me towards the Coliseum. I'm Rosemary, by the way, she introduced herself. I'm Fireway. It's nice to have bumped into you. She giggled. It's funny because it's true. Her giggle was probably the sweetest thing I've ever heard. And still is. We made it to the Coliseum just in time, as the performance was about to start. We got our tickets and took our seats, Rosemary being rather close for comfort to me, as we watched them do their stunts, better rolls, etc. As we watched, talked about ourselves. I learned she was a weather pony who made the rainbows at one of the factories. She had a slightly younger sister who lived in Ponyville. Her parents were once soldiers of the Royal Guard, but now retired, and that Rosemary loved animals and rainbows. I wanted to tell her about my life as a Dragonlord, as a warrior, but I found I couldn't. I was scared I would scare her away from me. Sure, I was annoyed with her at the start. By the time we sat there talking to each other, I found myself beginning to admire this pony more and more. I wanted to be near her. She was my only friend in this world. So I told her I left home when I was 16, which was true, and traveled the world all my life. I told her only half of my adventures, the ones that didn't involve everyone I'd meet die at the end of it. Just the ones that made me see the most beautiful places on earth. She had a wide grin on her face when I told her I ran from a basilisk, or flew from a ten-headed hydra. She giggled at all my adventures. Wow! She gaped once I finished. You must have been to every corner of the planet. I chuckled, trying to hide the fact that it was more or less true. Sort of. I glanced at the performers before us. The newest member of the team, a filly pig named Spitfire, was about to make her debut, the announcer said. I wasn't fully paying attention to that. No matter how hard I tried, my eyes kept glancing back at the pony next to me. The pony that had first irritated me, but now I come to admire. The sun was lowering from the sky by the time the Wonderbolts had finished. Both walked out of the stadium with smiles on our faces, chatting excitedly about the performance. Wasn't Spitfire just awesome? Rosemary squealed. The way she went so all over the place. She's gonna have a bright future in the Wonderbolts, that's for sure. I nodded in agreement. Well, Rosemary, I have to say it's been a pleasure to have met you. But I'd better get going and find somewhere to stay. Take care of yourself. I said, began trying out to find a hotel to stay. Didn't get far when I heard her calling my name. Firewing! She hopped up to me and stood in my way. You had nowhere to stay? I shook my head. She lowered her head, pawed the ground with a huff. Well, you could, if you wanted, stay with me for the night. She blurted out the last part. My eyes widened and I recalled stepping back in shock. This pony, who I barely knew, was offering to let me stay at her house. My mouth moved, but I couldn't make up any words. Buddy, I have a suggestion. When a hot mare says that, you say yes! After a while, I was going to say no. Baka! Get food! Instead, my mouth said, okay. Rosemary was grinned and jumped at me in a hug. Oh, you're not going to regret it, I promise you. She took my hoof in hers. She felt her hoof soft and warm. Come this way, she beckoned me on. So we both ran through the deserted streets of Cloudsdale and her place. First, I felt a stream of emotions run through her, as Firewing told her how he met her mother. See? That wasn't so hard, and he didn't need 8 seasons to do it, did you? Congratulations, Legendbringer! You made the most obvious joke you could have on this sketch! Thank you! We're surprised. Daisy couldn't stop laughing at her father's attempt at impersonating her, and acting out her movements. Then warm. It was truly a lovely and rather funny way of meeting your love of your life. That was so sweet, she said with a smile. Firewing nodded. Yes, it was. The smile had faded. But that day I also learned Rosemary was like a flower. Extremely beautiful and full of life, but terribly delicate.